is Jalen Rose.
Boss up. What up, Del?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together we are Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We get a
Rose?
people.
Yes.
They want
Jalen, coming off that terrible loss to the Pelicans,
the Pelican play.
there's no chance that the Lakers would go into Memphis and lose to the Grizzlies,
It's
right?
not going to happen. They have LeBron James.
They wouldn't lose to the Memphis Grizzlies. Joakim Noah's Memphis Grizzlies. They wouldn't lose to that team, right?
And he was out of the league doing medicinal things.
Sure
and now
was.
all of a sudden he's back in the game playing quality
He
minutes.
wasn't just back in the game playing quality minutes. He powered the Grizzlies past the Lakers. The Lakers lost to the Pelicans and then the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are not motivated to win basketball games, yet they're doing it anyway. How did this happen? I watched every second of this game, waiting for the Lakers to come back. It just never happened.
When you're an average basketball team that can't defend the paint, they can't defend the rim, and is not a team that shoots well from three or the free throw line, teams are going to stay in the game with you. Just those dynamics, because they're NBA players running up and down the floor wearing shorts and a tank top. They're going to be in the game. And by the way, lost at Philly, barely beat Boston, lost at Atlanta, came back to actually beat Houston when they were down 19. So this has been an up and down squad anyway. And now you get to Memphis, all of a sudden, when you don't get a couple of calls and things don't go your way, and Mike Conley has a big 30-point game because he's
Played well.
still there.
He played well.
Now all of a sudden you find yourself on the wrong end of the scoreboard.
They lost to the Pelicans, fine. LeBron James comes out. He talks about what's important to the players. He's
activated.
motivating. He's playoff activated. He's really talking a big game. And I expected LeBron James to come out in this one and lead his team to a win and kind of say, listen, if we're going to make the playoffs, I'm going to take us down the stretch. LeBron James had a triple-double yesterday, Jalen, but I watched almost every second of the game. He didn't play well. He really didn't play well. Turnovers, taking deep threes, just missing kind of bunnies. Like, he just kind of seemed, and there's a little bit of that bad body language thing going on, not playing great defensively. What did you see from LeBron last night?
So from LeBron, initially, LeBron James came into the league and basically played a point forward. Usually that means there are two guys that have more bulk and more height than you do on the floor. That created a level of balance. When he got to Miami and he really unlocked his game, Chris Bosh was able to play the 5, but in theory, LeBron James played like a power guard position because he's the primary ball handler. And that functions well because he's surrounded by 3 shooters. He has somebody on the dunk spot that can catch lobs and be a finisher and doesn't need to post up. So now if you look at the dynamics of the Lakers team, JaVale McGee does give you the height and will give you lob and dunk spot opportunities. However, he can't play a lot of minutes because that's something he hasn't done in his career. You traded Zubac, you're not really playing Tyson Chandler. So in theory, their 3 best players are LeBron, Kuzma, who's been terrific this year,
and Lance.
And Ingram, who's also been balling this year.
Ingram played well last night.
So now, but here's the problem. So that means those are your 3 players up front. Not stopping anybody from getting layups and dunks.
No.
Not bulk, not height, not contesting shots.
Non-post defenders.
So therefore, you see LeBron in a unique spot up front, and he's still distributing, getting people involved. He's still getting his boards. He's the only player in the history of the NBA to be in the top 10 and scoring and assists. Like, he's playing well, but it's a team dynamic that they've not been able to unlock. And also, you ready for this? They miss Lonzo Ball.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they definitely miss Lonzo Ball. They definitely miss Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball also underrated defender, too.
Correct.
Underrated
That's
defender.
where I was
Mike
going.
Conley kind of had his way yesterday, getting past his man, bumping into the big man and one, getting past his man, bumping the big man and one, getting past his man, no help defense, bucket.
So when the Lakers are a real contender, LeBron is going to be the second tallest player on the floor when quality minutes happen. They thought that was going to be Anthony Davis this year.
Just that, but also second tallest player on the floor, and everyone else can shoot. Like right now, sometimes he's the second tallest player on the floor, but there's one shooter out there. I mean, Reggie Bullock can shoot. He just got there. Muscala can shoot in theory. He couldn't last night. And then you've got Kuzma, who's hitting threes, and Brandon Ingram actually hit some threes last night too, but they need shooters around him. Is this season a wash for LeBron James and the Lakers?
It's not a wash. I've talked about that since the beginning of the season. To me, success for the Lakers was to be a 7th or 8th seed, possibly play in the playoffs, hope to avoid the Warriors in the first round, probably get a young team, maybe like the Nuggets, for example, that you can have LeBron's greatness elevate you in a playoff series. That's what I felt like their maximum, optimum productivity could be this year. Now, as I look at the standings, the best thing that's happening for them is that the Spurs are struggling. The Clippers don't want to make the playoffs because they want to retain their first pick. They want to retain their first-round pick. And the Sacramento Kings have not been here, and they've lost a couple of their most recent games. So they're not buried. They have a chance to back themselves in the playoffs, which it would really be that. And we all know what happens if they get that 8th spot.
The problem is it's going to be, if they get to the playoffs, they're going to do it on the last night of the regular season. Like, if now it's at the point where, like, if you guys are going to get in, don't talk about the 7th seed. It's going to be game 82 and one of those things like, all right, this team needs to lose, we need to win, like that. But take a look at their upcoming games. It does not get, I know they just played the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. It does not get easy for them. Take a look. They've got, then they go back to play the Pelicans, then Bucks, Suns, that's a win. Clippers, Nuggets, Celtics. Of these 6 games, like, they'd be lucky to go 3-3. Lucky to go 3-3.
So, as a player, you look at the schedule and you try to realistically say, okay, this should be a win, and or if we're not the favorite, maybe we can get it because of circumstances, like playing at home, or they're dealing with injury, or they're not playing well right now. Because a lot of times it's not who you playing, it's when you playing them. And so I can't really quantify if they're going to win or lose any of these games. You know why? Because they're an average team. They're an average team. They'll go win at Boston, and they'll go lose at Atlanta. That's what they are. So they could easily lose or win to the Pelicans. Same with the Bucks. Like, that's what this team has been. But on paper, I would say Pelicans win by double digits. Lose to the Bucks. Beat the Suns by double digits. Beat the Clippers at home. Lose to the Nuggets on ESPN on March 6th. Lose to the Celtics on March 9th on ABC.
The only problem with that is I also thought they would beat the Pelicans, the Grizzlies coming out of the All-Star break. I really did. So who knows what's going to happen with this team now. There's an interesting report. An anonymous league executive. Now, you got to be careful whenever you start quoting anonymous league executives, because we're not talking about GMs. There's a lot of league executives out there. There's 30 teams. There's probably 6 or 7 league executives per team. And
there's some league executive that's getting coffee right now or getting cheesecake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like Diddy style.
But they were speaking to Bleacher Report, and they said the following, quote, "He killed the Lakers' chemistry. He shouldn't have been so public about it." Talking about the Davis trade. "Even during the All-Star draft, he laughed about wanting Davis to be his teammate." Jalen, how much truth is there to this?
Facts. The dynamics of their roster are veteran players on one-year deals.
Yep.
Lance, McGee, Rondo, right? Then there are players that are on their rookie deals. Kuzma, Ingram, Ball, Hart. And you know what those two groups have in common? None of them are invested in the Lakers' future anymore, because they realize that probably all of them will be gone.
There's a chance that all of those players could not be on the Pelicans, on the Lakers, next October.
So if you think about a level of investment, what does it take to be a team? Sacrifice, camaraderie. You have to buy in. Everybody has a role, but do you accept it? Great word. And so now all of a sudden, we're splintered with vets. We're splintered with guys on their rookie contract. The only guy that knows he's going to be there next year is
LeBron.
So that's what we have.
Well, former Laker legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is doing something very interesting.
Ooh, and when I jump in my car, treat me like Kareem Abdul.
He is auctioning off all of his championship rings and his MVP trophies. And about it, he said the following, quote, "When it comes to choosing between storing a championship ring or trophy in a room or providing kids with an opportunity to change their lives, the choice is pretty simple. Sell it all." Jalen, I love the sentiment behind this. I love what he's doing. I got one thing. I'm going to keep one of each. I'm going to keep one of each. Don't you feel like you should get, I get it, Kareem, you're doing the right thing, but keep one of each.
So I got this from T Grizzly. And I appreciated this lyric.
I love T Grizzly.
When people try to clown me about what they feel like I didn't accomplish, I like to say, You keep the awards. I want the rewards. And that's what Kareem is doing here. We know what he accomplished. And so for him to have a ring that has so many diamonds on it that he can't wear it, so many trophies that has taken up place in his home, as he starts to get older, he realizes, like, these things aren't important to me. And then you ask yourself, what is important to me? And if I could give back and I have the opportunity to do it through things that didn't cost me anything financially, then I'm willing to do it.
Can you think of just, I don't know, one particular place that maybe some of this money from the Skyhook Foundation could end up?
The Jalen Rose Leadership Academy.
The Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. Sounds good to me. Get at us, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now, there's a player in the league who's being treated unfairly, Jalen Rose. His name is DeMarcus Cousins, but he's known as Boogie! 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 So known as Boogie! 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 From the Seaport District, Pier 17 to be exact, and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, Dwayne Wade has made it known that this is his last year in the NBA. So as he goes on his farewell tour and he gets celebrated by various teams where he visits, he changed something to his game. His hair. Braid Wade. What do you think of Braid Wade? Are those too tight to play well?
Can I put something on wax that's a phenomenon in today's NBA that I love?
What's that?
I'm calling it, because this is what we called it growing up. Youngsters that are a lot cooler than me, feel free to come with a new name, and I can't wait to ask the players about it. Fresh out braids.
What are fresh out braids?
Looking like you fresh out the pen.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Not fresh out the barbershop?
And so, like, Brandon Ingram comes to mind. Richardson on his team currently
Gerald
comes to
Green
mind.
always has some.
Gerald Green been rocking them. So there are like 10 players I'm going to make sure I highlight, and then we probably should rank the top guys that are rocking the fresh out braids.
Jalen, you're the best. Here's my thing. If you're going to debut a new hairstyle and you're going to get all this attention for it, you got to beat the Suns. You know what I mean? Like, you can't. It was almost like, oh, we're going to lose to the Suns. I need to divert the narrative. I need to change this. You cannot lose to the Suns if you are the Heat. Come on, D Wade. You don't probably spend too much time getting his hair braided, not preparing for the game. Last night, the Warriors beat Charlotte, as we all expected them to, but there's one play that we absolutely have to discuss because it involves a gentleman by the name of DeMarcus Cousins, also known as Boogie! Okay. Jeremy Lamb loses his shoe right there on the free throw line. Boogie Cousins picks it up and tosses it to the side. However, it was caught by someone in the front row. Probably enhanced their experience. I'd be pumped if someone threw me a shoe, right? The referees called a tech. Now, technically, by the book, if you throw something into the stands, you deserve a technical foul. Is this unfair treatment for our guy, Boogie Cousins?
Yes. This will be one of those things that quietly under the radar the league is going to do away with.
Just like coming off the bench.
And by the way, to add insult to injury, meaning that he got a technical for throwing the shoe, the player whose shoe he threw,
Jeremy Lamb,
went and sat on the front row.
Well, someone gave up their seat in the front row.
Put it back on.
Yeah, someone gave up their seat. If I'm paying that much money for tickets, no, I'm not giving up my spot. I'm not giving up my spot.
Man, you just rude.
I'm
Yes, you are.
I'm not
yes,
giving my
you
spot.
are. It's a different way to silence the lamb.
You know how would I like it? You know what I always say? I would love to ask you to explain the plot of Silence the Lambs. Right now, explain the plot to Silence the Lambs.
Brace yourself. Jalen Rose is about to explain a movie plot.
So the guy was Norman Bates?
Yep, Norman Bates.
Okay, he was a deranged individual. Mm-hmm. He was really crazy in the movie.
Yes.
And he found ways to kidnap and eat people?
Close. Close.
I remember that. He wasn't eating them. I'm thinking about Jack Kevorkian. No, in the movie, he was just there. He was crazy. He was killing people.
He was killing people.
Yeah, I remember that.
Norman Bates.
Yeah, Norman
Silence the Lambs.
I saw the light bulb come on. When I said that, you was like, okay, I got to give him props on that.
Definitely not Norman Bates. You know why I always say it's not what you do, it's how you do it? Boogie Cousins lightly tossed it You know what I mean? They went lightly to the guy. It wasn't like Steph Curry with the mouthpiece. You know what I mean? He wasn't throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. It's just not what you do. It's how you do it. If you're the referee, just use common sense. Common sense should govern all referees over the laws of the game. I know that doesn't sound right. They should follow the letter of the law. No, common sense should be the first thing that referees consider before they blow the whistle.
I agree with you, and the rule is that players shouldn't throw objects into the stands.
Of course,
that's why he got a technical. But I like his explanation, and it was really practical. Because when something's on the floor and somebody runs and trips over it and hurts themselves,
you stop pickup games if that happens. You're like, everybody stop. We don't want anybody to get hurt. Like when the ball rolls in from the other court or whatever, you stop pickup games. Like it's literally a danger. He's helping not just his own teammates, but the other team as well. I love Boogie Cousins so much. Keep doing your thing.
No doubt.
Looks a step slow to me, though.
And a supporter of JRLA.
Oh, doesn't look a step slow to me anymore. You remember Charles Peanut Tillman, right, from the Bears cornerback, went to the Panthers, got hurt, and then he retired. And, like, I haven't heard an update exactly what he's been doing until now. Charles Tillman has graduated from the FBI Training Academy. There's this thing where you graduate, and then there's a 2-year period where you get trained a little bit more until you become an actual FBI agent. Charles Tillman is going to be an FBI agent, Jalen Rose. Here's my surprise. It only takes a couple years of training to become an FBI agent. Like, does it feel like it should be harder than that? Like, it's harder to become a dentist than it is to become an FBI agent.
Well, there's been a lot of things that happen in the news to make you wonder how much training you actually needed to secure a gun and a badge.
Oh, well, guess what, Jalen Rose? I can fix all of that. If they cancel our show, which they probably will, after hearing you describe Silence of the Lambs, are you going to join me in the FBI Training Academy?
The key word is training, which sounds like work, so no.
Oh, now why they got to put that hair on me?
I love your hair.
Why I got to have the cleavage?
I love your hair.
I mean, you know what? You know what? The staff. I don't think the staff likes me. I don't think they like me. Let's be honest. We have a working relationship, but I don't think they love me like they love you.
Well, I appreciate the fact that he's enduring this new career path. Seems clearly like something that he's passionate about. And unlike you, with his football background, he'd be able to chase and tackle some people.
He will. He'll be great at that.
No doubt about it.
If you're his partner, someone runs away, like, you know I'm not running after him. That's on you. That's on you, Peanut. Go get him. You know James Harden's streak is over, his 30-point streak. But is that actually good for the Rockets? That's next on Jalen Jacoby. Header in the NBA starting at 8 p.m. Point guard matchup between Damian Lillard and the Blazers and Kyrie Irving and the Celtics. And can the Lakers finally beat the Pelicans? We'll find out Wednesday at 10:30. Saturday night primetime, ABC. Countdown's at 8, and the game is at 8:30. The Warriors take on the new look Sixers. Don't forget, Get Up every morning, 8 a.m. with the Get Up crew. They'll be discussing, is Zion now being surpassed by R.J. Barrett in the draft, and much more with Jalen Rose in a fancy suit. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, I mean it this time. I mean it this time. It's the Don't Get Fired topic of the day.
And now, the Don't Get
Jalen,
Fired
for real,
topic of the day.
I got 3 kids. I love this job. I love coming to work every day. Be very considerate with the words that come out of your mouth. A gentleman by the name of Robert Kraft went to a place called Orchids of Asia. You know what happened by now, but there's some new details about this. He was there from 11 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. Sunday, January 20th. The day the Patriots played the Chiefs in the AFC Championship in Kansas City. Jalen, he now has a court date set for 8:30 a.m. on April 24th. He's been charged with 2 counts, soliciting prostitution. Are you surprised he was there the day of the AFC Championship game?
If he was going to be there, which he clearly had been there prior, I'm not surprised any day of the year he would be there, including when his team plays. This is a major issue for the NFL for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
Number one, he's an owner, and they should be held to a higher standard of discipline. So therefore, if you look back at the track record of that football team under his leadership, they did get punished, even though the tape got destroyed, for Spygate.
Yep.
They also got punished for Deflategate.
Yep.
So really, in theory, this is his third time coming in front of the judge and jury, in this case, the NFL. Also, for that league, terms that now are attributed to some of the top players in that game happen to be domestic violence, assault, sex trafficking, prostitution. For a league that's had to deal with an image problem of, do they really care about the well-being of women? And so I'm fascinated to see clearly how this plays out for him as an individual, but a lot of people are going to be looking at the level of discipline that gets attributed to him based on these circumstances, and also how he then responds as an individual of influence, of money, and of power, how he now turns around and shows a level of contrition based on getting his name and his franchise caught up in these allegations.
So he has denied these charges categorically, even though the police say that there are videotape of certain occurrences. Do you think the league will punish him before, during, or after the legal proceedings take place?
This is what always makes it tricky, and we talked about this in circumstances of violence against women, because even if it's on video, which we've seen in certain cases, in particular Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt comes to mind.
What happens is our judicial system doesn't necessarily punish fast enough for the court of public opinion to take place and for the league to now establish their level of discipline. So therefore, it becomes a situation of, if you're the league, do you punish more harsh than the court system, who in theory didn't do what the court of public opinion felt like they should have done? So it now forces us to argue about what should happen, for example, to Kareem Hunt, when in theory we thought maybe what he did on video should probably be enough
for the criminal system to punish him in addition to the NFL.
Correct.
But when the criminal system doesn't punish and the NFL says, well, there's, you know, we don't have proof that there was a crime there, even though we saw with our own eyes proof of a crime. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because when you have money, you have access to high-powered lawyers. When you have high-powered lawyers, there's a way that sometimes these charges just disappear. I don't know if that's going to happen in this case, but it'll be interesting to follow. And also, if you're Mr. Kraft, he was out. You know, I mean, he was out at the Oscar parties. It's a very interesting way to see how he plays this publicly, because his public stance and his sort of persona in the public has kind of vacillated and changed over the last couple of years, and I just wonder how this will work with him.
And for all of those who follow sports, please know, of all of the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball teams, there are certain owners that want us to talk about them because they become something for conversation.
Of course.
They get in front of the cameras, they do interviews, and then there are 90% of the owners who just fall back, and they're not in the public eye. So for Mr. Kraft, we've seen him, whether it's talk about Trump, whether it's dance with Cardi B, whether it's be a part of Meek Mill's movement. And so he's been doing a lot of things, in particular, the pre-Oscars party. We saw him with Tom Brady on the jet. So there's been a lot of footage of him. I would think now, and I'm not here to determine how he should spend his time, his energy, or his money.
We know you're right about what you're about to say.
But he should probably just fall back for a minute.
He's going to fall back. He's going to fall back for a while.
He should just fall back from the cameras.
I don't think you're going to hear a lot from him this summer.
And just allow this very serious situation play itself out.
Thank you for not getting us fired, Jalen Rose. Next, James Harden and the Rockets